Welcome to A Night for Hope. Tonight we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary. We have several different ways that we're going to do that. I'm going to fix my microphone. But I get to talk to you about the Hope Venture's impact overseas over the last, let's see here. We'll get it to stick to my, there we go. I've never actually used one of these with it tucked behind my shirt like this. Okay. So, I get to talk to you about the impact that we have made overseas over the last 10 years. We're going to be going through the timeline and we're going to be doing a little bit of time traveling together. So our destination is December 5th, 2009. This is just a few months after the Hope Venture began its journey as a nonprofit organization. I want you to picture it. What were you doing on December 5th, 2009? This is the day that Charlie Abro emailed Cincy Peterson with the details of the first ever backpack distribution. Dear Cincy Peterson, greetings from Bangalore. We are sending about 60 backpacks to the Jesus of the Door Church in Tamil Nadu. This ministry is being carried on by Mr. David Shekar. Thank you once again for all your help and concern for India ministry. With much regards, Charlie Abro. This is the moment it all began. Those are the first kids that received backpacks, the first impact that the Hope Venture ever made. Now, you may not remember this. And you're probably thinking, I don't remember what I was doing on December 5th, 2009. But I bet that many of you in the room remember exactly what you were doing December 5th, 2009. I was sitting on my living room floor, crying. My family was there, my friends were there too. I was in 8th grade and we were looking at our TV screen in dismay, bewilderment, and heartbreak as we watched the Texas Longhorns somehow add an extra second to the clock and beat us in the Big 12 championship game. I mean, how does that even happen? Look, here's 0 seconds. Right? Whatever. We're not bitter. But see, I told you I'm not the only one who remembers what they were doing on that day. Right? And yeah, it's not a day that I want to remember, okay? But because of this email from Charlie, this day has come to signify something more than Colt McCoy cheating his way into a BCS program. See, while we were sitting in our living rooms watching the Huskers on an ordinary Saturday, our partners in India were on the ground in this village called Solore, beginning the work that has carried on through the last 10 years. Now, you may not know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't know who Charlie is, and maybe you don't even know who Cincy is. That's okay. Charlie Abro is a Christian leader from southern India, and a little over 10 years ago, he came up with an idea, and he approached Jeff and Cincy Peterson with this idea of how to help impoverished children. Jeff and Cincy had been praying for the country of India for years. They've been traveling there, and they've seen the need that Charlie was talking about. When you travel to India, it's hard to not become overwhelmed with the need. Because you see thousands of people with what seems like nothing. Sure, maybe they have a small house built with some scraps of metal, a few sticks and banana leaves, a blue tarp, they have a pot and pan for cooking, but they make $1 a day, if that. There's no consistent work. They lack opportunity, and they continue to be socially marginalized and oppressed. They're essentially starved physically, materially, psychologically, and spiritually. It's all-encompassing. Mortality rates are high, disease is rampant, there's not enough food, they're overcrowded, and all of this just compounds generation after generation. And for millions, it's a never-ending cycle of poverty. So Charlie's vision was, let's help kids break the cycle. He came up with an idea of a way that he could get kids a better shot at getting an education through just a few donated dollars, through a backpack. And all of a sudden, there seemed to be a way, a role was formed that we, average, everyday Nebraskans, could take up in the global issue of poverty and oppression. And so the Backpack Project began, and the Hope Venture began. An organization that would partner with local leaders to do tangible projects to bring hope into hopeless situations. Shortly after that, Charlie connected us with another partner, Raja. And in June of 2010, we began our second project, a partnership with the Home of Hope, a home for the dying and the destitute. Then in August of 2010, we partnered with Alicia in Kenya and we distributed goats to impoverished rural families, strengthening malnourished children. Then, November of 2010, 2 high school students were sponsored, and our student sponsorship project began. Then by 2011, we began our feeding centers, our water project, our vocational training project, and our schools. By 2012, our Mama Kids project had began, and at this point, we had given 6,000 backpacks. 17 high school students had been sponsored. We had 200 children that started getting schooling at our schools. We had 28 women graduate from a vocational training class. We had 100 children start to get daily meals at our feeding centers. We drilled 2 wells by this point, impacting hundreds of people with clean water. And we had 130 goats distributed, all by 2012. That's 9 projects in just 3 years. And at this point, the organization is really taking shape. And each of these projects are similar to the Backpack Project, with local leaders uniquely responding to a particular need in their area. And we've seen each of these projects impact people in a powerful way. The Hope Ventures tagline is that we are on a mission, we are on an adventure to bring hope and dignity to the most disadvantaged people in the world. And it has been an absolute adventure. Hundreds of hours on planes, plenty of coffee and tea breaks, meetings and emails and Skype calls, free night for hopes, and countless moments of prayer. And it is now 2019, our 10th year as an organization. And we can now say that by the grace of God, we have been able to make an impact for good in the global issue of poverty and oppression. Remember those schools that I told you started back in 2011? Well, I checked in with our partner, Anuja, and I asked her, how have you seen this project be a success over the years? And she just simply said, well, the only kids in the slum that haven't been to school are the young kids. That's like neighborhoods in the US. The young kids haven't been to school yet, the older kids have. Well, when we began the project, we had teenagers starting kindergarten. After many years of our schools being in that slum, having a presence there, we've seen the education of the entire village come up. We've now had 930 students go through our schools. Remember those 17 students I said that had been sponsored by 2012? Well, I checked in with them too. One is a teacher, one is studying social work, one is working for the Hope Venture to help more kids get sponsored. One's an engineer, one just got their diploma in journalism, and now we have sponsored 445 students, many of whom that were sponsored at this event last year. And remember those kids I told you about December 5th, 2009, those 60 kids who got backpacks? Well, a couple weeks ago I thought, I might as well just text David Shakar, our partner, and see if he remembers any of them, see if he knows what any of them are up to. And he just responded with a list of names and their current level of education. Mr. Vimal, doing his master's. Monica, diploma in nursing. Vinod, bachelor's. Suganti, bachelor's. Sharmila, bachelor's in English literature. Sharan Raj, bachelor's. Kumati, PhD. Ishwarya, bachelor's in science. Saranya, bachelor's. Priya, bachelor's. Lydia, bachelor's in communication. This is our first moment of impact, now seen 10 years later. And we've now gone on to distribute 40,991 backpacks. Past that, we've gone on to distribute over 250,000 meals at our feeding centers. We've had 9,000 plus men and women be taken in during their time of need at our Home of Hope. We've had 708 people graduate from our vocational training courses. We've had 1,285 goats be distributed over the years, 9,086 mama kits. We've drilled 10 wells in India, 2 in Uganda, 1 water project in Kenya. 7,600 people have been impacted by that. We've had 1,171 people benefit from our crisis relief project. And over the last 10 years, we can now say that we have impacted 53,000 people. We now have 10 projects, we have 15 plus partners in over 50 different locations in 3 countries, and we're seeing real impact in real lives. And we can look back and say that by the grace of God, though it has been difficult, we've had our failures, though finding a way to make an impact is complex, we've helped some lives find hope. Tonight we are celebrating our 10 years, and we are looking forward to what is next. I just want to say thank you for joining us. Thanks for being a part of this. Welcome to the Hope Venture, and welcome to A Night for Hope.